Tour Junkies.
What's going on, golf addicts? Welcome to the Tour Junkies podcast. I've been saying that for 10 years with this guy. DB here, Pat Perry. It's the 10-year anniversary of Tour Junkies, and we're looking back over some of our favorite moments. This is more of a, I'm excited, Pat. Are you excited?
I'm very excited. A lot of nostalgia here, and I just can't wait to. I don't know where we're gonna go actually
Yeah.
with a lot of this stuff, so I'm looking forward to that too.
We've lived a lot of life in 10 years, a lot of it because of Tour Junkies and through Tour Junkies. We never thought it would be what it was, never thought it would be what it is. Excited to talk about it. So we're just, we got some podcast juice. It's crazy that 10 years later, here I am drinking wine. Never had wine on the show. You're drinking a beer. Cheers.
Cheers. Podcast juice. I mean,
Cheers,
look,
podcast
we've had
juice.
podcast juice since day one.
Since day one.
Sometimes a lot more than others.
Yeah.
Mhm.
We're wearing some throwback Tour Junkies gear. I think this shirt is actually making me, my Who Lit the Kids shirt is making me sneeze a little bit. I think it's just been sitting in a drawer collecting dust. I can feel my nose tickling. It's like remnants of 2019 on my shirt. But basically, we're just going to have some drinks, reminisce. I said this on a previous show, I wish we had the budget to pay a producer like producer Tony to like find old clips and integrate some media into this thing and graphics and blah, 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 blah. But we don't have that. We don't have that. We need more sponsors. Help us with that if you want to. But yeah, we don't have time for that or capability for that. And really, we're doing this for us, and we hope you guys enjoy it. This is just going to kind of memorialize our first 10 years and some of our favorite moments. I basically said, like, why don't we think of about 5 of our favorite moments each, and we'll kind of ping pong and see how it goes. We've not talked about the show at all. We don't have a rundown. We're flying by the seat of our pants here, which is basically what we've done for the last 10 years. And I've got some bonus picks if we end up having a lot of the same things. But we can just reminisce on those things and take it as far as we want, as long as we want. Go from there and hope everybody enjoys it. And some of you who've been listening for a long time will remember a lot of these moments. Some of you won't. But I'm excited about it. And I will say, speaking of sponsors, it's because of sponsors through the years that we've been able to really keep doing this, because we've done a lot of cool things that cost money, but also in the grind of doing, a podcast, at least one every week for 10 years and talking about the 3M Open for the 10th year in a row. Sometimes a little financial incentive helps, and that's helped me and Pat over the years. So we appreciate our sponsors, especially partners like SoBet, who have been with us for 3 years and have invested in the Tour Junkies, and we appreciate it. And so we ask that if you're a Tour Junkies fan, give them a shot. You can cancel at any time. It's $1 for the first month when you use that code on the screen or the code that pre-fills in the link in the description. And get in there and try it out, because it's partners like that make a difference for us. And we take our partners seriously. We vet our partners thoroughly. We don't just put anybody on the show, and we haven't done that even since day one. When we got our very first check for a sponsorship right here from our friends at Elite Events, who happen to be sponsoring our Ryder Cup trip to Bethpage this year. So the partners are important, and your support of those partners is important as well. Couldn't be here without the Discord either. So I will say, even though the Discord has evolved over the years and has evolved in the last year or two, the people in that Discord have become friends of ours, have become people we've connected with in real life, and have just made this whole thing way more fun and way more doable. The Discord is our lifeblood to keep doing what we're doing. And so even though, it does look different than it used to because of life changes with me and Pat, we really appreciate those of you that continue to stick around in there and enjoy the community, because that's what we built, and it's pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the best thing about the Discord. I mean, it's great the knowledge that's in there and the people that give us great outside of us, because we're really not that smart when it comes to golf anyway, golf betting and DFS and stuff. But there were some really smart people in there. They give us a lot of good information. Appreciate them, and it's a great community. So it keeps us going. Things like that. So yeah.
So I think, we started Tour Junkies. Technically, we came up with the idea. It was around March or April 2015. We won't get into that whole story, but we've talked about it on the show before. Me and Pat were working together We had just met in January of 2015. Everybody thinks we're brothers and we fight, we've known each other forever and fight like brothers. Yes, but we met first in January 2015, and by March or April, we had this idea, this concept, to really just cover PGA DFS. And so it started there. But then, unlike the world now, when we had the idea to do the podcast, we practiced the podcast for like 12 weeks
Yeah.
and no one listened to it. We didn't publish it. We just practiced. We tried to figure out who's going to host, who's going to say what, who's going to do what, figure out sound equipment. And it was terrible. We've talked about it on the show. But our first episode, we started the Twitter account in May of 2015. Our first episode was in September of 2015, about mid-September. And then we were off to the races, and we've been covering this thing balls to the wall ever since. And it's a lot of shows. I had a stint where I was full-time. It's crazy how many shows I think we've probably done. I know on the podcast feed, it's over 600 on the podcast feed, but there's more than that.
That is amazing to hear that number.
All right, Tour Junkies, David and Pat back at you this week. We're right in the middle of the FedEx Cup playoffs. It's been fun so far. We've got a nice little break in the action this week as we get geared up for football season, which I know we're all excited about. But Pat and I wanted to, give you guys a little education this week. We want to talk to you guys a little bit about some terminology, maybe some lineup construction tips, and we just want to talk through some PGA DFS strategy today. So it'll be a good podcast for sure. We appreciate you listening. Pat, how you doing, man?
Man, I'm doing good. I feel like it's been a while since we've been able to talk. So I'm glad to be back on the line with you and looking forward to a little strategy talk. And sometimes it's nice to have a little break in the action. So we got a little 2-week break here. We get to start with some football coming up this weekend. So I'm excited about that, but ready to talk a little strategy today.
Yeah, there's more if you add up a lot of the shows we did for a little run on the YouTube channel that we were not putting on the podcast. So, I mean, probably close to 1,000 shows. We've had millions of listens total, millions, which is awesome. And it's just been a lot of fun. And while things have changed, we've always had a lot of fun. So we'll just start here. Like, let's ping pong it. I'll let you start. Like, just one of your favorite memories, moments, experiences, whatever. It's wide open. What's your first one? No particular order.
God, it's so hard. It's really hard to nail these down. I actually had like 10 of them.
I wrote down 10, but I have 5 that I have 6 that I'm in, but I know you're going to use one of them. So,
all right. Well, I'm going to come out the gates then pretty strong on this one. And you may actually not remember. Well, there's no way you don't remember this, but it was very early on.
Don't test me. My memory's terrible. So
I actually don't. And now that I think about it, I don't know if you were on this show.
What?
I don't think you were on this.
Was on the show.
No. But this was a favorite moment, but I don't know where you were actually on this one.
What? You're going to lead off with a moment I wasn't even there?
I think you were there, but I can't remember.
You dude.
What? Were you on the episode that I fell asleep, passed out?
Yes.
Okay, we were guests on another show, right? Which is even worse. Like, it wasn't even our own show, and I basically passed out and fell asleep at the end of it. Now, did it last like 2 hours? And it was I was into the wine and I was into the cups, as I like to say. But I mean, falling asleep on a podcast. I mean, can you imagine one of us doing that today? Like, but
I did not even think about that. That's so funny. But wasn't that
whose show were we on?
Wasn't that God, who was it? The show's not around anymore.
Was that DFS Degenerates? No, or
I thought it might have been with no, but it wasn't. It was somebody else, and it's not around anymore.
Insiders? Was it those guys? I don't know.
But yeah, I just remember being on the show. They were interviewing us about TJ, and 1 minute Pat's talking, but I can kind of tell he's getting into the cup, and then the next, and I noticed like he didn't really speak up a lot, but then you started making noises in your sleep. You were going like, rah, rah, rah. And we were interrupting we were like, wait, what, Pat? Huh? And it's like nothing. It's like Pat must have dropped. And then it wasn't until like after the show ended where the host realized that the recording never stopped until you woke up like 2 hours later and hung up or got disconnected.
Yeah, they couldn't get their recording off because I was still on there.
So good. So good. Oh, man. That's a good one. I totally forgot about
one. That's one. But that was a moment. I mean, that was something special right there.
That was a moment. I'll stay with the early theme. The early theme. And we talked about this recently. The Stephen Bowditch Masters breakthrough 2016.
Yeah.
And then just like how it led to our relationship with Baldo and me caddying for him and the players. Like that was awesome. Like for Baldo, for you to have gone so hard in the paint, making fun of him and saying that the Augusta National should rescind his invite because he was playing so poorly and just absolutely unloading on the man, for him to hear it, reach out to us, laugh about it, and then agree to come on the show, meet us at the practice round, shake our hand, come on the show. You read the most amazing apology to him. I put the Boyz II Men background music behind it. You wrote a heartfelt letter. He wrote down a sincere apology, and we want him to read that to you, Stephen. And it's up to you whether or not you accept the apology and we continue on with this interview, or look, if you want me to throw Pat out of this, I can totally do that. Just me and you can talk. So I'm going to let Pat say his piece, and then you do your thing. How's that sound?
All right, man. Yeah, I've finally got got Pat's shoe out of my arm, so I'm good to go.
All right. Well, here's Pat, man. We're gonna let him take it away.
All right, Stephen. I know that you've been waiting for this for a long time, and I've been quiet so far on this podcast, but I want to read you this apology because I took a lot of time writing it out, and I think you need to hear it. So here it goes.
Baby, I'm sorry. Please forgive me for all the wrong I've done. Please come back home, girl. I know you put all your trust in me. I'm sorry.
Mr. Bowditch, I first of all want to thank you for coming on our pathetic show and allowing me the privilege of expressing my deepest apologies for the harsh words I mentioned a few weeks ago on a podcast of ours. Please accept my apology. I did not mean what I said when I said the Masters should rescind your invite. It was all in jest, and I was only doing it because my co-host has been pressuring me to be funnier and more colorful. You unfortunately fell victim to my feeble attempt. Nor should I have made the gesture that I was throwing up in my mouth. I should realize that even though you play on the inside of the ropes, I am merely a spectator, and I am merely a spectator on the outside, that you are still a person just like me. You have feelings. I should also be understanding that I too know what it feels like to shoot in the 80s. Although shooting in the 80s for me is actually a good thing, whereas it's a bad thing for you. But if I were to shoot a 102, that would be like you shooting in the 80s, which would be a bad thing also, and you would not like it, just like I would not like shooting at 102. So please, Mr. Bowditch, accept my apology and thank you for coming on the Tour Junkies podcast, where we can talk golf or anything else you want, especially now as we have hopefully put this all behind us. I'm sure you're a lovely person, and your best golf days are surely ahead of you. Please, Mr. Bowditch, accept this apology.
Man, I'm just reaching for the Kleenex right now. That's awesome, buddy. Yes, I do accept your apology.
Oh, that's so good. Now I can relax, and I can actually talk on this podcast now.
And that struck up our friendship with Baldo, and that to me was like, I'll never, like, the circumstances and how all that fell into place was just hilarious to me. I remember it was like that Masters week. I just remember walking out on my back porch, and Kristen was outside with the kids, and I just said, "Babe, Baldo's gonna come on the show." I'd already told her, like, you made fun of this guy. He reached out to us on Twitter, blah, blah, blah. And I just couldn't believe he did that. And then his attitude about it was so good. And your letter was so dang funny. And then the relationship with him and caddying for him, those 2 holes at the Players Championship and the actual tournament round was super cool for me. That was awesome. One of my favorites.
That's on my list too, obviously.
And that show, that show is still available to listen. It is I believe it is the 2016 Masters preview show with Stephen Bowditch. And the audio quality, I actually listened to it like about 6 weeks ago or so. The audio quality is unbelievably bad, but just remember it was almost 10 years ago. But it is worth going back and listening to that interview and Pat's apology. You will not regret it.
Yeah. Okay. I think next this is sort of a combo. Like this isn't like one versus the other. Well, it's probably more me than you, but it is more me than you. What am I talking about? But the whole idea of Planet Tito's is like because of what it represented for TJ. It wasn't like, I know it originated with me being on Planet Tito's, but there are plenty of episodes where you got to Planet Tito's and I may have been there too, but you got there too. Like the whole Planet Tito's thing, I think was just a lot of fun. Those were years that were so much fun together because we just like some of the funny stuff we would say or do that was a result of Planet Tito's or the process of taking off and getting to Planet Tito's. But it really was there were some special times on Planet Tito's. So it's not really one thing, like one funny moment that I think we could point to for Planet Tito's. It was just the whole thing, the idea of that and where it got both of us, because we had some moments like your face would become numb and things like that when you got to Planet Tito. I would just start saying stupid stuff or yelling at you or whatever. Like all the things that came with Planet Tito were favorite moments of mine because I look back and I think it was just a lot of fun. Was it maybe a little reckless at times, potentially, towards our own bodies and things like that, but still it was fun. And so I think I have a warm, soft, loving spot in my heart for the planet of Tito's.
Do you remember? You remember when you got really pissed at me and raged all over the screen and talked about how you'd won $25,000 on DraftKings?
Yes,
and
that was in the moment too. That's where this kind of combined with that.
You
one.
Literally walked off the show and left and quit in the middle of the show and did not come back, and we're so mad. Yeah. I mean, I would get face numb on Casamigos tequila, and you would get reckless on the Tito's. And, looking back at that now, like it speaks to, I've heard people who do podcasts for a long time say your audience ages with you, ages as you go. Mm-hmm. And I think about like, man, I was 31 when we started this, and you were 38 when we started this.
Yeah.
Crazy. Like 31 feels like a long time ago. Like a lot has changed for me.
38 does too.
And you. But, like we evolved, right? Like we don't drink like we used to. We just don't. Yeah. We sometimes, big shows we might try to get after, but we just don't. And I'm sure there's a lot of our audience that probably feels the same way.
Yeah.
But I don't have no regrets, right? Like I don't have any regrets that we did it, because it definitely created some comedy. But and a lot of people probably think we'd be funnier if we did it, but we're just not willing to take the risk on our bodies.
Yeah, it's a little tougher. It's tougher when you get older. I mean, look, getting old just sucks. So, all right.
Planet Tito's was an interesting place for me with you because I mean, let's just call it what it is. Like when I'm face numb in orbit, like I just get dumb and like funny.
Yeah, your perspective is different. You don't know which direction, like which side of Planet Tito's.
You're Two-Face. Am I getting Harvey Dent or am I getting Two-Face? And is your head going to spin all the way around and it's going to be a different face on the back?
Am I on the sunny side of Planet Tito's or the dark side? Which side is it going to go to? We never knew. Sometimes
never knew. But eventually it would happen. That's good. Kind of sad we never did a Planet Tito's shirt. We should have, but
Yeah.
okay. I'm gonna I think I don't know if this was. I don't actually think this was Planet Tito's induced, but I will never forget the. And I am not being hyperbolic here. I will never forget the overwhelming glee. Like I don't use the word glee a lot. It's an old word, but the glee that rose up from my soul in the middle of a show when you said, when somebody we were talking about cued something in your brain, synapse fires, and you said powder pea. And I realized in that and we had been doing the show for 5 or 6 years. We've been friends for 5 or 6 years. We'd had many conversations. We've been in many car rides where I control the music and I'm playing bangers and I'm playing hip hop and I'm playing all this stuff. And that song had never come up for us. It had never come up for us. We'd never talked about it. I had no idea. I would never have suspected Georgia boy swoop haircut, banker boy tie Pat ever would know anything about Bone Thugs and Harmony's greatest hit, or I guess it's Mo Thugs, Ghetto Cowboy. But when you said Powder P in that moment, I just felt like a rush of love for you that I'd never felt before.
God, that was amazing.
And I remember the reaction just being like, "What did you say?" And you're like, "That song, the name Powder Peak." And we started singing it and rapping it together, like on the spot, impromptu. And we couldn't get over it. And then the show ended. That was when we used to have producer Sam. Shout out Sam Kotler. We used to have producer Sam. And Sam, unbeknownst to us, kept recording when the show was over. So we said, see you out. The show was over. We thought we were just hanging out. And we went back and pulled up the song. I played the song while we were in the studio. And me and you just like rapped it all over again and sang it and did our parts. And you were missing every other word. And dude, and then he put that video together, that highlight clip together. I got to find that. We got to tweet that out. That was one of my, that will never not bring me so much joy because I love that song. And it was so much fun. That whole moment was amazing.
Yeah. No,
Did you have that on your list?
I didn't actually, but
you didn't.
I love that you bring it up because I mean, I'm glad that we might have some different things on the list.
Me too.
Something I might have forgotten about because that was a special moment. We didn't really, and a lot of the moments were always unplanned. I mean, we never really planned any of these.
We don't plan a lot.
We don't do a lot of planning. I think this is another time that you probably didn't expect me to have on the list, but I think it also is kind of all encompassing of a lot of things we did or we used to do that we don't really do anymore. But I think some of my favorite moments for TJ were the interviews that we used to do. We used to do a lot of interviews. People forget with a lot of different players and other people. I mean, we did one with Club Pro Guy. We did one with Charles Kelly of Lady Antebellum. We did I don't know who the other there's
Darius
other
Rucker, Charles.
Yeah, Darius Rucker. I mean, a lot of great interviews, and I think they were so much fun to do. Those are the things where I think back on TJ and I say, I can't believe I got to do that. Like I got to talk to Darius Rucker or, Charles Kelly or Brooks Koepka, and that's what the one that I was thinking about is Brooks Koepka back in the day. I mean, we did one of our first interviews literally in the first year, I think, or the second year. No, it was with Koepka. And we were in a church. We were in a church on a speakerphone that kept dropping Brooks Koepka. Yep. And we were trying to do it as professionally as we could. And then finally, I guess the good or bad sport that he is, he finally just hung up and he was done. And we had to piece it together. And, props to you for piecing it all together. But that was a special moment for me was the Koepka interview because we got to interview Brooks Koepka.
Dude, I didn't think about that. Like, I don't think people understand how far and how fast podcast technology and equipment came in 10 years. It sounds so dumb to say, what the F are you guys doing recording with some random speaker on speakerphone on a phone at a church? But I'm telling you, in 2016, 17, 18, like podcasting equipment and technology was either not cheap or not accessible, or nobody knew like how to do it. And me and Pat were not savvy to any of that stuff. We had no help. We just figured it out. And
Yeah.
it sucked a lot of times.
Tape a
But
call, baby.
tape a call that.
I mean,
But like we powered through, and then that just like gives me, going back to like being 31 when I started this. You know how like as you get older, you look back on like things that you look at people who are much younger than you, or at a different stage of life than you, like maybe it's with kids or with their parents or with, just whatever. And you're like, man, that I remember that season of life, and it was hard. It was rewarding, but it was hard. And I'm like, I don't know if I could do it now, And I look back and I'm like, dude, how many years before we had a producer that, dude, we would end the recording at like 10:30, 10:45, and then I would have to put 2 shows together, edit them slowly because I didn't know what I was doing, edit them, publish them. I mean, I did it every Monday night for however many years, and I'm not like patting myself on the back. I'm just saying, thinking about doing that now, I wouldn't do the show. I just wouldn't do it. Like I don't want to do it anymore. Like that's a young man's thing.
yeah, it is.
But yeah, Brooks Koepka, that piecing that thing together, crazy. Okay, this is all right. I'm gonna do one more like obscure one that maybe you might not think. Just a memorable day for me, and this is content that we could link to. Maybe I'll figure that out. The day that we spent um at the time, it was Scratch headquarters in St. Augustine, Florida. Now it's the PGA Tour's media channel, but the day we spent at Scratch shooting content for the Points Bet video series, the sports betting series, which I think was like 2019. Or it was actually 2 full days, right? Was it a day and a half? We had never done anything like that before. It was just me and Pat and the producers at Scratch. We were getting paid. We couldn't believe how much money they were paying us to do it. But I remember walking out of there going, holy crap, that was so much work. And that was so exhausting. We had no idea how exhausting it would be to be in front of the camera all day, either reading from a teleprompter or just coming up with it off the cuff, working with producers, redoing takes, scratching stuff, saying, no, that's not going to work, or we got to do this way, or do it again, or take 10, or, it was so exhausting, but it was so much fun. And I love the content that we got out of it. It was so dumb. It was when sports betting had just become legalized, and these sports books were trying to educate people on how golf betting worked. And PointsBet paid us and the tour to put a series together. So it's still on the Scratch YouTube channel, from 2019. It's like 7 videos, but the outtakes, dude, I'll never forget laughing at your ass, sitting in that, like, it was like one video or one shot that you did all on your own, where you were like a guru or something, and you were sitting on the crisscross, and you couldn't get every time you got to a certain point on the teleprompter, you couldn't stop laughing. And then me and the producers were trying not to laugh. And I eventually got kicked out of the room because I couldn't stop laughing.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
we just laughed so hard. Like that was one of the best 36-hour periods of Tour Junkies for me. Like that day and a half was just so much fun. It was exhausting, but it was a blast.
Yeah. I didn't think about that one too. I actually will go back and look at some of those videos sometimes, just checking it out and thinking like, man, that was actually this was a hard work, but it was put together pretty well. So,
and I will say, again, if we had a producer and we had all the time, money in the world, like we could go pull. We've both gotten better on camera. Not that we're amazing, but Pat on camera in the early days was quite the scene. I mean,
yeah,
we have had, it's been informal. It's been informal, but it's been so much that we've had media training, and we've been in front of the camera so much. Pat has come so far. Those first few years, man, it was first couple years, like it was.
Well, I mean, yeah, we weren't like,
we didn't start on camera. Remember, we didn't start YouTube until 2019.
No. And then all of a sudden, we find ourselves at the Players Championship doing work for the PGA Tour, and we're going on cameras. I think, there's a lot of different things where that, but it was fun. I mean, and it was sort of learning on anything we did. Really was learning on the job. There was no, we weren't in a classroom on any of this. So, I was going to save this one to the end, but I think I just got to go ahead and talk about it. But because I'm wearing the T-shirt, boom. I mean, boom is always going to be one of the most special moments for me for Tour Junkies. I mean, um, as we are, we're on the we're on the eve of a Ryder Cup, and as we're doing this, and that's where boom came about, and that was 2016. So we had only been doing this, about a year of full episodes, and you were at Hazeltine, and the whole trip itself was amazing that we got to go. Shout out Moose. He's anybody that's another little piece of nostalgia going back to the Moose days and Mooseonomics and all of that kind of stuff. And it was just a great trip. We obviously won that Ryder Cup, and that's what led to boom. And there's a lot of stories that I think if you ever see us out anywhere and you want to get into the whole thing, we could do it. That'd probably take a good 30 minutes here to talk through all of the things that happened that night. But one of them was me saying that I was about to just totally knock down a Michael Jordan 3 and airballed it. And right before I did it, I said boom, and then there's an airball, and that was it. Then that became a thing, and it's been there ever since. It's crazy to me that was 2016. But you remember, I don't know if you remember, I didn't want anything getting out about it. Like boom was a thing between you and I for almost like 6 or 7 months before then we said, all right, we got to bring this out to the people. And it's hard to believe that it's been that long since boom came about, but there's no way that could not be a favorite moment of both of ours for DJ. So
and to be clear, boom was Pat hammered at like 2 a.m. in the morning after the Ryder Cup, trying to say boom.
Yeah,
he was trying to go boo. Anyway, boom. And we didn't really laugh about it then. We laughed about it after the fact. We went back and watched all the videos I took from that night, and I was like, "You said boom, like you couldn't even get the word boom out." So along that line, I had written down just Ryder Cups because, 16 at Hazeltine was obviously, that was just different. We were wild. I mean, again, I'm thinking about being a young man. I was 32 and wild, and Moose was wild. Hazeltine was wild. The whole scene on the golf course was wild with P. Reed and Rory, and the way we won, and the whole vibe on site, going to that Minnesota bar and having that thick-wristed girl attack you, and
God, I forgot about that.
And then staying up till 2 or 3 in the morning at the night we won, and boom, and me punching your brother, and the prank calls we made to the flight attendants that night, like all the funny videos, like it's just that trip was awesome.
Yeah.
And then Paris, we went to Paris, and on course was tough, but the trip to Paris was beautiful. It was fantastic. Looking back and thinking that like TJ paid for us to take, our wives to Paris and spend a week in Paris at the Ryder Cup and sightseeing and all that stuff was just, and the videos that came from that were hilarious. Your most creative moment ever, the most creative synapse to ever fire in your brain fired that night in Paris when we were sitting at that little cafe we like to sit at the end of the night to have a final nightcap, and
I need to find. I wish I could find that picture.
Oh, I can find it easily. If you just search Paris in your phone, you'll find it. You can find it easy.
God, that was
like just in you trying to hail the Uber and tell the Uber where we are, and you showing up to the airport to leave for Paris and telling me that you had spent all this time learning how to say a very popular French phrase that basically was known to put the French at ease about you being a dumb American. And you're like, oh, they're going to be putty in my hands when I say this. And then I asked you to say it, and you couldn't really ever get it right. That was just the best. Ryder Cup trips, the best. We are recording this before our trip to Bethpage. This will be out after Bethpage is over. I'm sure it's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
But Ryder Cup trips for sure.
Yeah. Well, so it's back to me. All right. I think I gotta close, or my fifth one is going to be Golby's Cup.
Okay, I was about to say, like, surely.
Yeah. We started with talking about community and Discord and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. Well, that culminates in Golby's Cup. I mean, we finally got to have an event together where we had the community, the folks that have listened to us for a long time, the folks who have always supported us, to get to do something fun, to play golf, to have a whole weekend of it. It was just amazing. I mean, Golby's Cup was one of those things that was certainly special. We had probably hoped for it to be more. Oh, there it is, right there. Team Pat, Team DB. I love that you still have that. I think I need to get a print of that, for me. But that's pretty amazing. Golby's Cup was special. There's still lost footage of Golby's Cup that never came out. It never came out.
You don't get to keep that because I won. Golby's
I know
Cup,
that's
so.
right. You won, so you.
That.
We're gonna bring out another thing that you won. I'm sure. Oh yeah, there's the belt.
Dude,
There's
this thing's
belt.
so sick.
Man, you gotta keep a lot of good things for that.
I should wear
get
this.
little replicas. I think I should get replicas.
I should bring this with me on the plane tomorrow and take this around Bethpage. Yeah, man, Golby's Cup for me is dude. And while I hate that we only had one, it also just kind of makes it almost just kind of deserves to just be one.
Yeah.
Because I think if I had to take everything we've ever done, it would be really hard, but the Golby's Cup would be number one. Like just the whole weekend. Everything that happened. The trip up there was fun. Kistler coming out in a thong on the first tee in front of all these people with Team Pat written on his butt cheeks. The people that we met, the people that we struck friendships with, the golf course, the town, Schuylkill County, Pennsylvania was crazy. Mountain Valley was awesome. The fact that golf course will let us do all that we did is wild. The partying that we did at the clubhouse, the stories from that, having to get your ass out of the hotel that day, that night.
The learned lady,
the learned woman, me dropping that putt in the dark on.
There is video of that. I think I still have video
that. That was badass.
But what was great about that moment, because that was when technically, we had two parts of Golby's Cup. We had the golf tournament the second day, which was kind of the scramble for fun and whatever. But then we had the actual Golby's Cup match, which you won on the last hole at night in the dark with literally lights coming in from cars, I think. But
we had our iPhones on the green to
that's right.
light it.
That's right. And then it came down to me I had a little bump and run that I got very close. I mean, basically, I think the putt was given to me, and then you had a 15-footer or so to win, and you drained it, and it was perfect. I mean,
and if I missed it, we didn't know how we were going to figure out who won because it was so dark. We could not see. I could not believe the bump and run you hit in the dark, and then the putt was conceded. So I had two putts to tie. But the tie would have been terrible.
Yeah.
Celebrating with the boys on that was awesome. That was awesome.
and then you had the second day, and
it was wild.
We had so many things. I had to wear the workout suit because I lost the bet because of Golby's Cup, and man, I
sing the national anthem.
I remember changing into that thing and just sitting there alone. I think the learned woman came by and talked to me for a minute, but I was like, I got to be in this thing half the day. I don't know. It was kind of chilly. I weighed a little more than I do now. There was a lot of different things, but it was fun. I mean, it was all of it was great. And what a time that was. So,
man, Golby's Cup was the best. Thanks everybody who did it. Maybe one day it won't be the full-fledged tournament, but maybe I feel like one day we just got to go up there and play Mountain Valley and spend the weekend up there and just tell anybody who wants to come up there. Just go back to Mountain Valley.
I guarantee you all the people that work at Mountain Valley, they're still there.
Yeah, they're
still there. They have not gone anywhere.
Well, that was one for me. I'll get, now that you said that, I have the sixth bonus one, and I got a couple other small ones, but this was probably not on your radar, but Live Nashville was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
we went up there with our SoBet buddies. We spent some great time shooting content with them and doing some fun stuff with, Gutsy and Bryce and Coop and Wes, and had a good time. I love Nashville anyway, and we had a great time. But like the content that we got to do there was a lot of fun. The getting to do the bump and run thing with Patrick Reed was fun. You finally doing that contest with him, it felt
great.
right.
Yeah.
And
I like
and
to
he
go
was
into that video every once in a while too.
yeah, and he was fun, and Blandy was fun meeting him, and HV3 was obviously a lot of fun and so good to us.
You can't forget, our boy John Catlin. I mean,
John Catlin played in the Pro-Am. That's the only Pro-Am we've ever played in.
Yeah, it was amazing. What a time!
And had so much fun with him. And then the party at Aldean's, and getting to talk to P. Reed again and introduce Hess to. I mean, literally, Hess in the Discord is like, he's the biggest Patrick Reed fan I've ever heard of or seen, and he wins the opportunity to come. We give him the ticket. He hangs out with us at Caddies for you. And then we get to introduce him to his favorite player and like see him light up with Patrick Reed and meet Justine, and all that was crazy, and talking to Hatton and like being at that Pro-Am scene and shutting down Aldean's that night. That was just fun. My boy Chris, shout out Chris, my caddy, and his us having to babysit him that night. I really enjoyed Live Nashville. Live Nashville was a lot of fun. Those are my top ones.
Yeah. I think I would, I had a few little side ones I would throw in, just some funny moments, some good moments. I liked, you remember when I was William Wallace?
Yeah, it was a great one.
The
St.
William
Andrews
Wallace
Open Championship.
Yeah, that was fun. Butterfly on my face was fun. When I was in the cold, the dry spell. Actually, that was another one. Yeah, there's a butterfly. The dry spell, that's come up recently, but the dry spell was not really fun, but it was something, I guess. I tell you another thing too I wrote down, just because I thought this was a special thing too, was we had some moments on Sirius XM. We went to the PGA show, which a lot of folks forget the days where we used to go to the PGA show. We got to go on Sirius XM and do that show. We did it with Rick Neuheisel, who used to be an NFL. I mean, a head college football coach, and did some fun things with Sirius XM. You having your own Sirius XM show, that was one thing I wrote down.
Bro, I totally forgot about that.
I thought that was like a moment for us where I was like, holy cow, like we got a Sirius XM show, and David's on it, and we're like this is something. So I thought that was that was more just a moment of thinking, golly, like, how do we get here? To having David on a Sirius XM show that ran for a full golf season or two. I can't even remember.
I think it was 2. It's crazy. Yeah. I totally forgot about that. That was crazy. We did that every Wednesday night.
Yeah,
I can't believe my wife. I mean. And dude, the setup for that too, by the way, was insane at my house. This was before I had this like studio built. My cord, I had to plug into Ethernet, and I didn't have Ethernet connection up here yet. So I had to buy this Ethernet cord that plugged in downstairs, and I ran it all the way upstairs. I would have to tell the kids not to trip over it. I would have to like warn the kids not to, because Sirius XM had no idea how ratchet my setup was, and it was a big deal. Like I was the main host of the show. Justin Van Zuden was the co-host, but I hosted the show. I came in and out of all the breaks, and I learned how to learning how to do that was fun too. But I learned how to come in and out of the breaks, hear the producer in my ear, hear the music, read the ad reads, get into this, get into that, take us to commercial, hear the producer count down in my ear, 10, 9, 8, 7, like having to wrap it up. And so they wanted my setup to be money, and it was not money. And I had little kids, and I remember telling Chris, babe, you got to make sure the kids don't trip over this damn cord or I'm toast. And then the cord would only just barely reach to the top of the stairs. So I had my cord pulled real tight on my laptop, and I sat on the floor of this bonus room, because if I sat in a chair, I couldn't get down. I was like hunched over to see my computer screen. It was so ratchet. And I was sitting there thinking, like, there are people all over the country listening to this show, and they have no idea of the setup I'm in right now and how fragile this situation is.
And I listened to that show so much.
It was a
I may
fun
have
show.
listened to
Really
that one
fun.
more than I listened to our own show. I used to love listening to it. I feel like there
Yeah.
was something that in my life at the time that was going on where I was in my car during the show, and yeah.
Yeah. We
Seriously.
had a real producer. No offense to like Tony, but we had a real producer. Shout out Drew Phelps. And so like I didn't have to come up with that, and I don't know. He just like had good It was good. That was fun.
Yeah.
A couple little things I wrote down, like similar to you doing the butterfly. Me eating out the pumpkin.
Yeah.
Getting my thigh waxed
Thigh
and
waxed.
the wife slap. We had that little run with the wheel where we just did wild stuff, and it was like I felt like we were either doing Tour Junkies or Jackass or one or the other. I did write down the first PGA show, like, and how just wide eyed we were that we were there, and
Yeah.
just that whole experience was cool. The Golden Goalbies, the one year we did the Golden Goalbies was kind of fun. Remember when we did an in memoriam for people that we were basically writing off as dead, and we put Jason Day in there, and then he proceeded to like
Yeah.
have a resurgence. That
I do
always makes me
remember
laugh.
that. Yeah.
Producer Sam put that all together, and that was fun. That was a fun show. I just remember that show being a good time. We wore suits. And then the last one I wrote down was the practice round at the Players Championship with Siwoo, and just being able to walk in the
Yeah.
ropes with Siwoo, our white whale, and talk to him and get to know him a little bit, and Manny, his caddy, and just like thinking like, dang, we've earned our way at the Players, walking with like the number one guy we would want to walk with, and he's letting us in the ropes. We've done it. We nursed that relationship for a long time, so that was fun. That was fun for me.
Yeah, a lot of good moments too. Like, a lot of that's going back almost like to the interviews, but some of the things we got to do inside the ropes with players before events, practice rounds. That was always fun. Last thing for me that I wrote down, just because I know it frustrates you, and I love to frustrate you sometimes, and that is technical difficulties.
Yeah.
It would not be Tour Junkies if we did not have technical difficulties. So,
Yeah.
that could have been anything. That could have been every single show. And so I had to write down technical difficulties is a moment because it would not be TJ actually if there wasn't some technical difficulties. So, yeah. Frustrating as that might have been for you, it still happens. And it's going to happen even more. So.
I didn't. I mean, obviously, it's not so that was fun. All that was fun, and I'm not trying to like end on a downer, but it was hard for me to do this exercise and not think about the night that Harrison, my son, got in that accident, and like being on that show. It's hard for me to think about like fun or memorable TJ moments and not remember being right here, and the door flinging open downstairs, and my wife just yelling at me. I'm getting goosebumps right now thinking about it. Like, Harrison's been in an accident. I'm leaving, and just like not knowing what to do, and just looking at you and just being like, I gotta go. And I just threw off the headphones. I disconnected. You had no idea what's going on. By the time I got down the stairs, my wife was already about to pull out of the driveway. I like ran, stopped her car, got my flip flops, got in the car, went to the scene where my son had flipped the truck, and the truck was upside down in a ditch, and we didn't know if he was alive or dead. And at the time, I think he was 18. And just how wild that was, and how fast you feel like it can all change. And just pulling up and, seeing all the police cars and fire trucks and ambulances, and our neighbor's kid was in the car with him, and we're wondering about him and our son, and like just that whole night and journey after that was so wild. But I also will never forget that moment, and then like talking to you on the phone and on the way there and freaking out. And I'll never forget the outpouring of support. I mean, I think I sat in the hospital. I sat in the hospital the next day, and he ended up being, for the most part, fine. I mean, he is fine now. It was a miracle that he was good. But his biggest issue was we were worried he was going to lose his left eye. He had glass lodged in his eye. And so that night they had to surgically try to save his eye. And so I'm sitting in the hospital the next day. He's recovering, and we're wondering, we didn't know yet, is he going to lose his eye or not? And I remember putting the post out on Twitter, like a picture of the truck and saying what happened and like the perspective that it gave me. And dude, just I remember being in the hall of the hospital, walking around, or being in the chair in the room, and like reading all the Discord messages from all the Nut Hut community and all the DMs on Twitter and DMs on Instagram, and people, it's a ton of names that I knew, right, like from Discord and Nut Hut stuff, but so many names I didn't know. People in the industry, players, caddies, all these people that we had met, that reached out to me and was like, man, we're so sorry, and we're praying for your son, and we're, and there's so many fun moments, and TJ is primarily fun moments, but there's also moments like that where you're like, man, I had no idea that it meant this to me. And like, it means something that we have these relationships with these people. And if, that they care about this, or, it just felt like back to the community thing. Like it just feels like it's like you have this family, and most of them you've never met, but they feel like they know you, and you feel like in a weird way, you kind of know them, even though, we know a lot less about our listeners than our listeners know about us. But that I can't ever reflect on TJ and not think about that.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think you're right. It's the the things we've been given through
Yeah.
TJ has certainly been amazing for us because, like we've said, that just the great community that we've had, the outpouring of love that we get, in situations like that, but other times because there's been so many good times, but there's, 10 years brings a lot for two people, and, but in a way we had TJ to always be the, kind of be
Yeah.
the thing that lifted us up. And so that was important to us. And I think hopefully, I'd love to do this 10 years more, but I think that the thing that's been so great about it is it has been sort of our, our way of, getting through tough times, but also like, being able to, kind of spread a passion that we wanted to present on the show, that we have for golf, that we have for each other, that we have for just having fun and connecting with people, because that's important for a lot of people, to just have those connections. And we've gotten all of that through TJ. We started it literally just to say, you know what, we love golf. Yeah. But we love just kind of like, hanging out, talking and showing our passion for golf, and then having fun, not taking ourselves too seriously. We've said a lot of these same things through the years, but we mean it
Yeah.
when we said it. I mean, it's been important to us, and I think that all of these moments we could have never expected, and but they are not unappreciated, and they're not. I mean, everybody that's been a part of TJ along the way has got a special place for both of us. I know I can speak for you when it comes to that, and it certainly is a special thing for me.
Can I just want to, I feel prompted to just say this too. And I don't know, maybe this is the wrong thing to say, but I along those lines, like, there's a lot of things that people don't know about. Obviously there's things that people don't know about TJ.
Yeah.
And we've gotten older, life has changed, things have evolved, blah blah blah. And obviously our audience isn't privy to all of that. But I just want to, I feel like being candid here. I feel like just like opening up the curtain here a little bit. So, it was an honor and unbelievable that we got it to a point where I could even attempt to go full time TJ in 2022. And for, that was amazing. And everybody that's ever listened and had anything to do with the show is to credit with that. And that was awesome. And I hoped that it would be different than it turned out to be, but other things happened along the way, and life happened, situations changed, and it wasn't as conducive. But, last year, I will say, for those of you who maybe have, because I kind of feel it. Like, I know it's in there. I know it's probably in the nut hut more than anything, but like, obviously my presence in the nut hut drastically dropped off. And priorities change, life changes. But, last year in 2024 was one of the hardest. It was the hardest year my family's ever had, like the hardest year. And it was not an easy year for Pat either. But it was hard for me because my wife had serious health complications that we did not foresee happening. There was a 15-minute period in my life in 2024 where I thought I was holding my wife and I thought she was going to die in my arms. Seriously. She was bedridden for basically 4 months out of the year, off and on. We spent countless nights in the hospital, tens of thousands of dollars in hospital bills. Then my wife decided right before all this crap happened that it was a good idea to get a new puppy. It's like all the things happening. Her job changed. TJ stuff was being put on the back. There are reasons behind what happened, and like why, I'm not full-time TJ and I don't do 4 YouTube videos a week and I'm not in the Discord chat. And while, we don't put out the level of content we used to put out, while we're not trying to get Pat full-time or me full-time, or while we don't do merch anymore, like TJ is like, the state of the union is just different. Right. And part of that is because we're older, our situations have changed. Our families are a priority, and things in life happen that kind of snap you into perspective a little bit. Like our year last year made our family way stronger, way more grateful, changed our perspective on things. I'll just say this too, like, and I'm inspired a little bit here by Pat. I'm going to do this. I might freak him out. Maybe I should just take him off the camera. I'm inspired here just thinking through this by Charlie Kirk, because like last year I kind of woke up a little bit to like where my faith was, where the practice of my faith was. And it changed for me when my relationship with my wife was so challenged and we endured what we endured. And, God was good despite all that. And we came out of it on the other end better and stronger and with more faith. And that kind of changes things. It changes my priorities. It changes, do I want to get on here and get hammered? It changes, do I want to, it just changes things. And, so we're changing, TJ is changing. And I am inspired by people like Charlie Kirk, who were unafraid to say who they were, how they feel, what they believe. And I'm, I want to be like that. I mean, Jesus has done a lot for me. He's done everything for me. He's done everything for my family. And so I just feel like, I think it's important for people to realize that, because we may not be the same. It may not be the same Tour Junkies that we were 10 years ago or 8 years ago or 7 years ago or 5 years ago. And there's a lot of reasons for that, but it's not just because, we don't care anymore, or we don't appreciate our fans or whatever that may be. I know I'm rambling, but I don't know why. I just feel like I wanted to like clear the air and say what's happening and say what's going on. Like, I have a real job now. Pat has a real job, has for this whole time. But our situations look a lot different today than even they did 12 months ago, much less 10 years ago. They look so different. And if our audience is truly aging with us, and most of our audience is in our late 30s, early 40s, 50s, you guys probably understand. But we love all of you, and I love you, Pat. And I hope you guys stick with us, whatever we decide to do, however we decide to do it.
Well, and I love you too, and I appreciate that. But also, I think there's been, like you said, a lot of changes in the last year. So it's amazing what can change in a year. But I think all of it, for the good. I think there's, things for me that have changed a lot. I'm a lot different than I probably was a year or two ago. But happiness is also a key in life, and we don't always get it. But when we get to that point, it's, things can change. And I think part of what, I hope that people enjoy about our show is that, and what we've done for 10 years is that we're relatable. We're not perfect human beings. We are people who have flaws. We're people who have, you know, things that come up in life, things that, things that are tough, things that we got to deal with, families, all those kind of things, families that get broken, things, a lot of different things that happen. But, in the end, that's what life is. I mean, that's the thing. We're not up here to show some perfect side of anything, but hopefully, we show that, we love getting together and we love talking golf and we love having fun together. And, the people along the way that we've gotten to really just enjoy and to meet, and like we're about to go to New York here in a day or so, and we get to do more of it. It's all special to us. And, I think we're very lucky.
Yeah.
We're both very lucky to have what we have, and despite all the things that can happen to us and whatever else, I count my blessings every day.
Yeah. Couldn't agree more, man. Appreciate it, guys. Listen, oh, look, I just saw this too. I meant to bring this up. Our very first media credential, 2019 RSM class.
I've saved every single media credential.
So have I. They're all right behind me.
Yeah.
Look at that round, young face.
Yeah, what almost just happened a minute ago. By the way, while you were in emotional talk, I almost lost my charge on my battery. So that's why I had to break
scrambling.
For a second. I was scrambling to put the charger on because that would have happened. And
that would have been way to kill the moment, Pat. Love you guys. Hope you're not weirded out. Hope you stick with us, ride with us as long as we keep riding. Ride with us, and we appreciate everybody participating in whatever way you participate. It's been fun. We're gonna keep it going. We don't have any plans on stopping right now.
Nope.
Another 10 years? No way.
No way. Probably not.
No way. There will not be a 20-year show.
Another 2 years puts me at 58. I'll be getting closer to getting Social Security.
Yeah, you'll be like real
there. It may be gone. I don't know.
You'll be close to being able to like take money out of an IRA without penalty.
Exactly.
Unbelievable. All right, thanks everybody. May your screens be green and bend over your bookies. See ya. Out. Tour Junkies featuring David Barnett is not an affiliate of CWM LLC. Opinions expressed by the host or guests do not reflect those of CWM LLC. CWM LLC does not endorse gambling or the entities promoted by the Tour Junkies podcast. David is a non-registered representative of CWM LLC, an SEC registered investment advisor.